shooting in Muskogee, Oklahoma. We'll have the latest.
President Biden meets with a group of Senate Republicans to negotiate COVID relief. I'm Natalie Brand at the White House with how the two plans are different.
And lawmakers look at options to bring prescription costs down after a new report shows pharmaceutical companies will be raising prices on more than 500 drugs this year.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A man and 5 children are dead after an early morning shooting in Muskogee, Oklahoma. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, Muskogee police say they have a suspect in custody. It all started around 1:30 this morning. When officers arrived at the Muskogee home, they saw a suspect leaving with a gun in his hand. One of the officers fired at him but missed. After a short foot chase, they arrested the suspect. Inside the home, police discovered the bodies of a man and 4 children. A 5th child and a woman were taken to hospitals in Tulsa. That child also died, and the woman, we're told, has life-threatening injuries. President Biden is trying to gain support for his $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package, but congressional Democrats are taking steps to pass the bill on their own if the bipartisan effort falls short. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
Democratic leaders have now introduced budget resolutions in the House and Senate, paving the way for them to potentially pass President Biden's coronavirus relief package without support from Senate Republicans.
We are not going to dilute, dither, or delay. The needs of the American people are so demanding. We need to think big, and we need to act quickly.
In an effort to negotiate with Republicans, the president spent 2 hours talking to a group of GOP senators who have a counterproposal a third of the size of the administration's $1.9 trillion plan.
I wouldn't say that we came together on a package tonight. No one expected that in a 2-hour meeting. But what we did agree to do is to follow up and talk further.
Both sides acknowledge there are areas of common ground, but the White House press secretary says the president will not settle for a package that fails to meet the moment. Both the administration and Republican proposals include $160 billion for COVID vaccinations and testing. But on unemployment insurance, the White House wants $400 a week through September, while Republicans want $300 a week through June. The White House wants $1,400 stimulus checks for most Americans, with Republicans proposing $1,000 for people in lower income brackets.
It's more rhetoric to say that, oh my gosh, the house is on fire, when in reality, if you look at what the data is from the Fed, the families are doing pretty well based upon what we've already done.
Senator Bill Cassidy points out that all 5 previous relief packages have passed with bipartisan support, adding up to nearly $3.5 trillion in aid. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Another major sticking point is how much money, if any, Congress should appropriate for state and local governments. The president's proposal includes $350 billion, while the GOP plan has $0.
Oh, here we go. But now, when I turn to see, there's a perfect shadow cast of me. 6 more weeks of winter there will be.
The annual tradition is back again, and winter is here to stay. For 6 more weeks anyway. Puxatawny Phil saw his shadow this morning, predicting more winter weather for us all. The famous Pennsylvania groundhog hosted a virtual viewing of his shadow this year, complete with audience cutouts. I know, as we all know, Michael's one of Phil's biggest fans.
Resplendent, I'm sure he was.
But we're definitely going to have colder temps headed our way, right?
We're gonna get our dose of winter here by the time we get to the weekend. But I tell you what, and look, this is self-proclaimed. You know I'm the biggest wimp when it comes to cold temps, right? Well, I had to run out to the truck and grab a bag about, 20 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. Short sleeve shirt.
Ooh.
I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I walked out, and that sun hit me, and I was like, this is not bad one bit.
Are you kidding me? I think it's freezing outside.
No, it's. I promise you, when you get outside, and I'm going to tell you why. Because as we look from the Freeman Health System sky camera, it is absolutely gorgeous out there. And yeah, 39 degrees. Let's remember, it's only the 2nd day of February. This is not bad at all. Now, temperatures are ranging anywhere from the mid 40s, Tanya. Look at Independence, up to 46 right now. I know it's a little bit cooler up in the Northeast. Nevada still below the freezing mark at 31. Pittsburgh 32, 30 minutes away. Joplin 39. But here's what that indicates. Now that that wind has entirely shifted, it was east early this morning. Now look at it coming in from the south-southeast. And what that's going to do is provide us with some February warmth. Yeah, I'm going to say it because if we're going to talk about 50-degree weather in early February, that's what it feels like outside. It's going to be a great several days. Now, as Tanya said, yeah, Mother Nature's going to come back and get us here in a little bit because we've got a massive cold front that we'll talk about coming up and what it's going to do to us by the time we get into the weekend. But with all that being said, I know that everybody is also concentrating on the wintry mess that they have. All the way from Kentucky up to Maine, much as 13 inches of snow in Central Park. You got to be kidding me. I know you've got the latest on the winter storm, Tanya.
That's right. At least 2 people are dead due to the massive winter storm that's still sweeping through the Northeast. The storm has dropped more than a foot of snow since Sunday evening, and as CBS's Elise Preston reports, it isn't expected to let up in some places until tomorrow.
Snowplow crews are working around the clock to keep roads clear throughout the Northeast.
We can get walloped with 22 inches of snow and people want their daily life and daily routine to return immediately. That's not always possible.
More than 2 feet of snow has fallen in some places, like here in New Jersey.
Almost as soon as we plow it, it's covered again, so we have to stay on top of it constantly.
With more to come today.
I am actually out because I'm about to buy a snowblower.
Officials want all non-essential personnel to stay off the roads.
If you don't need to be out, go back to your house immediately. If you're in your house, don't leave your house.
Here in New York City, coronavirus vaccine appointments have been canceled and schools are fully remote for a second straight day.
This ball game's not over. We expect a lot more snow before this is over.
Times Square is blanketed with snow. Some New Yorkers found creative ways to get around. And while it was all fun and games for many,
we had such a wonderful 2020. This is a great way to kick off 2021.
The storm did also cause hundreds of accidents. In Connecticut, 2 people had to be rescued after their truck slid into a pond. This fire truck in Virginia rolled over while responding to an emergency call, injuring the 4 firefighters inside. And police on the Jersey Shore helped this woman escape the floodwaters that surrounded her home. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
3 people also died in Pennsylvania after a dispute regarding a snow removal incident. Police say 2 people were killed by a man who later died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon.
Prices for some prescription drugs are going up. I'm Michelle Medina with how Americans spend twice as much on prescriptions than other major nations.
And later, we're making ravioli pesto pie in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Price of prescription drugs continues to rise, and a new study finds the U.S. pays more than most nations. Michelle Medina reports.
Bonnie Arnold suffers from powerful migraine headaches.
I call them shotgun migraines because it feels like I got shot in the head.
Adding to that pain is the price of the prescription medicine she needs to take.
They told me it was going to be $600 just for that month's supply.
Her story is common. The Rand Corporation analyzed prescription costs in 33 nations, including the U.S. They found prices in America are 256% higher on average.
The U.S. is the only country out of all of those that we looked at where drug companies have free rein to set drug prices.
Andrew Mulcahy from the Rand Corporation says other countries negotiate with drug makers, but many U.S. government programs can't do that.
Medicare is prohibited by law to negotiate drug prices.
Another analysis finds major pharmaceutical companies are raising prices on more than 500 drugs this year, a 4.6% increase overall. Many of those are brand name drugs that companies have exclusive rights to make, as opposed to generics, which is one area that is working in the U.S. Rand found America actually pays less for generic drugs than other countries.
the US back in the 80s set up a framework to allow robust generic competition. It's succeeded wildly.
There are efforts to also bring down the cost of brand name drugs. President Trump signed executive orders to lower some prices. The Biden administration is looking at legislation to cap price increases and allow Americans to buy prescriptions from other countries. Nichelle Medina, CBS News, San Diego.
Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Today, we have a Groundhog Day recipe that is a winner beyond a shadow of a doubt. Any ideas to what it could be?
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
With this February 2nd being Groundhog Day, it was very interesting what they did in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania today, because they talked about, we associate Groundhog Day, of course, with the famous Bill Murray movie, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. And they actually brought up a good comparison to 2020. And so what they said was, after this Groundhog's Day is over, there are brighter things on the horizon by the time we get to spring. But Nathan, I'll tell you what, roll that video. With that being said, as the proclamation was made this morning in Punxsutawney, it was decided that Phil saw his shadow, indicating 6 more weeks of winter. Now, before we get there in the 4 states, we're actually going to be absolutely delightful. Unfortunately, that is not the case in other portions of the United States. So let's be very fortunate that we sit here for really the first 3 days of the beginning of the 2nd month and get spoiled by Mother Nature, because up by where Punxsutawney Phil was, they actually had, you saw snow coming down right there. And we've still got winter storm warnings and watches with this major snowfall that's taken place throughout New England and the northeastern portion of the United States. We're talking about 13 inches in New York City. They have a state of emergency declared. Mayor Bill de Blasio is telling everybody in New York City, don't go anywhere. Everybody stay at home. And then we're talking about anywhere from 24 to 26 inches of snow the farther north that you go. So let's revert back to our 4-state almanac on this February the 2nd. Our average high, 47 degrees. We're going to be able to eclipse that today and really for the next 2 days, because now that the skies have cleared off with the Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin, we sit at 39. Still do have a little bit of a wind chill. But here's what's going to happen this afternoon. Watch the clockwise movement of the wind arrows. And while it's not coming in, 10 to 15 to 20 miles per hour, still going to feed us some warmer temperatures. And that's why we see the color contour just going diagonal right there from northwest down to southeast. And we're already sitting at 46 in Independence, 45 in Neodesha. It'll take a little bit for Lamar, Carthage to get to that 40-degree point. Nevada sits at 31. But eventually, got to remember, we're only sitting at 12:17 in the afternoon. We've got another 3-4 hours of sunlight that's going to kick in and take us up into the 50s. Now, as we work throughout the night, clear skies. But here's another key factor. Past couple of nights, we've been below the freezing point. We're going to be able to hover right above it. And so it's going to even be a warmer Wednesday than what we had on Tuesday. But Thursday's the big development. Number one, we're going to start with morning rain that's going to sweep in. And anytime something comes to the northwest, especially at this point in time of year, we know there's going to be some colder temperatures above it. All the snow should stay to the north of us. So let's just say track Kansas City. We may see it clip just a couple of our northern counties. But for the most part, it's just going to be rain on Thursday. But honestly, that's just the beginning, because there's a big Arctic front that's going to drop through from Thursday all the way into the weekend. So on the backside of number one, the rain, then come the cold temperatures. Then we talk about additional precipitation that blows in from the Pacific. And that's going to bring us snow then on Saturday. And I'm just going to keep on saying this all week long. If you're going to tell me that it's going to be 5 and 6 degrees overnight in between Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I'm going to light up the fireplace, turn on the furnace, grab some blankets, get the chicken wings in the crock pot, listen to what Mr. Food has for us, and enjoy Super Bowl 55 right here on KOAM, kickoff at 5:30.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Purple Heart recipient Jess Crane in the U.S. Army. Soldier from Joplin joined the military in 1943. He fought in Germany, Italy, and France until 1946. Sergeant Crane also earned the Bronze Star for his service. To Sergeant Jess Crane, we thank you, our four-state hero. Despite what the groundhog predicted, we're ready for spring to get here now. So Howard shows us how to make a spring-inspired dish. It's Ravioli Pesto Pie time in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
With today being Groundhog Day, I thought it'd be fun to share a recipe with you that would be fitting whether Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow or not. You see, if he did, that means we would have 6 more weeks of winter, and this dish would be perfect since it's so comforting. On the other hand, if he didn't see his shadow, that would mean that spring would come early, so all the springtime flavors in this dish would be even more timely. All we do is boil a bag of frozen ravioli according to the package directions. While that drains, we mix together some homemade or bottled pesto, a jar of chopped pimentos that we drained really well, some Parmesan cheese, and a generous amount of sliced pepperoni. Now we add the ravioli and give it a good toss. After it's coated, we dump it into a pie plate, sort of leveling it out and finishing it off with lots of mozzarella. All that's left to do is cover it, pop it in the oven until it's heated through and the cheese is melted. Does this ever look good or what? Like I said, it's warm and comforting, yet its fresh taste is all but teasing us that spring is right around the corner. The recipe for our Ravioli Pesto Pie is online now and is ready and waiting to serve up no matter what our little groundhog friend predicted. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we're looking for a dish that's a winner beyond a shadow of a doubt. In other words, ooh, it's so good.
Does look tasty. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Our Groundhog's Day, absolutely gorgeous as we've got temperatures up into the low to mid 50s, even warmer tomorrow. But remember, the big cold front rolls in on Thursday. We'll start with rain, cooler temps, and eventually snow by the time we get to Saturday. Stay inside. Watch the Super Bowl right here on KOAM on Sunday. Over to Dow with a look at what's coming up tonight at 5.
Sounds like a plan. Coming up at 5, new research sheds light on why some people with COVID-19 also develop a potentially fatal symptom, blood clots. That story's in Health Watch. Plus, vaccine clinics are announced in Joplin, but they're filling up fast. What you need to know about getting registered and what your options are for the COVID vaccine. And kids at Carl Junction schools dress in cheetah today for their Super Bowl themed week. Chiefs fans need no explanation. Join us for those stories, a lot more KOAM News at 5.
Well, thank you for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.